Good morning. I'm Smriti and today I'm going to present a paper on about why throw away the extracted tooth and autogenous tooth grafting for alveolar ridge preservation, a systematic review. So the first image on your left depicts a grossly decayed tooth on which a root canal treatment was performed, and you can also see a vertical root fracture. So obviously the next line of treatment is extraction, and the same tooth was extracted, grinded and used as a graft material into the socket and sutured. This method of using the same tooth as a graft material is known as autogenous tooth grafting. This is the radiographic view of the same. So let's get into the basics. What is a systematic review? A systematic review forms the highest level of evidence where randomized control trials, case control studies, and cohort studies are reviewed, and then the data are updated up to date. A meta-analysis is similar to a systematic review, but it's more of a statistical approach. So the steps involved in a systematic review are first defining the question for which we intend to find the answer. Next, the criteria is established on the basis of which electronic databases are searched for articles, and all those articles are screened for quality individually, and the results are updated. This falls under the PRISMA protocol, for the abbreviation of which is preferred reported items in systematic review and meta-analysis. So as I said before, the first step is identifying the research question, and for my study, the research question is autogenous tooth grafting superior than other graft materials for alveolar ridge preservation. This falls under the PICO system, where the intended patients are healthy adult extraction patients. The intervention is autogenous tooth grafting. The control is other graft materials in ungrafted sockets, and the outcome is alveolar ridge preservation. So an electronic data search was done in PubMed, Cochrane, and Google Scholar from January 2015 to January 2021 using the keywords of autogenous tooth grafting, alveolar ridge preservation, and bone regeneration, and we found out around 25 articles relevant to this. So me and my guide, we sat down individually to avoid any bias, and through the criteria we went through all the articles, and at the end we arrived at around 2 randomized control trials and 3 case control studies, and we excluded all case reports, case series, and retrospective studies. So this is the PRISMA flow chart which I'll help you go through. So initially, after entering the search words, we had around 37 articles, and after eliminating the duplicates, we got around 25 articles. Those 25 articles were screened through the abstracts, and we eliminated around 12, and the remaining 13 full text articles we searched through that, screened through it for its eligibility and outcome, and around 8 were also excluded because they were mostly case reports in case series, and finally we had 5 articles for this review. So these are the 5 articles. The first one, Chaitanya Pradeep Joshi et al., which was a randomized control trial where 15 patients were grafted using autogenous tooth grafting, and they had a 4-month follow-up. The second one by Barizara et al., which was also a randomized control trial where 12 patients and 40 extraction tooth sockets was grafted. The third one by Catherine et al., which was a case control pilot study, and here 8 patients were involved and 10 tooth sockets were grafted. The fourth one, which was Koga et al., which was also a case control study. Here 16 patients were grafted, and after the healing and bone regeneration, the grafted sites were replaced using implants. And the fifth one, which was Alexandra et al., which was also a case control study. Here 9 patients and 18 sockets were grafted. So we assessed each and every article for the risk and outcome, and this is the tabulation of that. So first article, which was the Chaitanya Joshi et al., a randomized control trial, and they defined proper inclusion-exclusion criteria and proper blinding of the participants, and outcome was done. The biomaterials they used were autogenous tooth graft, beta-tricalcium phosphate, and ungrafted sockets, and the result was that the autogenous tooth grafted site showed much lesser horizontal and vertical resorption than the others. Barizara et al., which was also a randomized control trial with proper defined criteria as well as proper blinding done, and the biomaterials they used were autogenous dental matrix with PRF membrane, and the results showed increased density of the bone. The third one, which was a Catherine et al., was a case control study, and here also proper criteria as well as blinding was done, and the biomaterials they used were autogenous dental matrix plus PRF membrane, and here also there was a progressive increase in the bone density. The fourth one, which was Koga et al., was also a case control study, but the criteria and the blinding was not well defined, and the biomaterials they used was autogenous dental matrix, and the implants were used in this grafted site, and it showed improved results. The fifth one, which was in Alexander et al., was here the proper criteria and the blinding was done properly, and the biomaterials they used were autogenous dentin matrix as well as ungrafted sites, and the results showed decrease in the resorption of the bone. So, like a coin with two sides, we had certain setbacks. Like only 5 articles were included for this review, and also those studies were pilot in nature. We didn't have like large sample size, and there was also a setback in these studies. Like they didn't have long follow-up period, so we don't know about the 10-year follow-up limitations or anything. And the last one, no, like we didn't have enough randomized control trials in this topic. So as an end note, I would like to include that autogenous tooth matrix is very good for grafting the socket because autogenous tooth matrix, when demineralized, it exposes proteins and growth factors like the bone morphogenic proteins and transforming growth factor, which aids in alveolar ridge preservation, sinus augmentation, and it also supports the implants. But still, limited studies are available, so more studies should be done on the topic to be sure of this. So the smart dentin grinder was initially used to prepare this autogenous tooth graft, but this had a major setback because the demineralization was done separately. To avoid this, recently the tooth transformer, which is a portable device where the tooth is segmented and placed into the mill, and immediately within a few minutes we collect the demineralized tooth graft to be grafted into the socket. These are my references. Thank you.